Okay, so just I'm just a suppressed human being left to the mercy of this matrix in the end time. I know that sounds dramatic, but essentially that's what's happened to most human beings. You're surrounded by a negative negative life forms that are like the same as android beings, or artificial intelligence, or psychopathic narcissistic human beings that are essentially serving the psychopathic narcissistic god of this world, because their personalities and the way they are made is essentially the same. They're different to normal natural human beings, which are now in very small numbers, because they've gradually been driven to extinction by the artificial technological species that is basically now taken over, and has always been around, I'm guessing, but gradually over time their numbers have expanded, whereas the humans have been eliminated, I'm guessing. But it could also be that there was always a big discrepancy in the numbers, because if you think about it, this world has always been very anti-life, hasn't it? So perhaps the human race certainly is always surrounded by negative powers that be, shall we say, that tend to lead a human being into its own destruction, I would think. But either way, this is just an example of a demigod telling you about the demigods, or telling you about the situation that is happened. In other words, like how the psychopathic android human race now corrupts, yes, the natural selection, or the natural human beings, from conceiving more natural spiritual human life. Because if you have a normal, two normal natural human beings come together to create normal, natural, human spiritual life, in other words, positive human life, or the potential for happiness or a higher vibration, a good vibe, okay? Because everything is frequency and vibration. So we have a dark, negative world controlled by androgyne beings, as opposed to a high vibrational, happy, normal, human, spiritual earth. Did I put that right? I don't know. But normally, if you have two human beings, even if they're opposite in personality and different likes and different likes, it doesn't matter. It can even be an attraction. But most of the time, you're attracted to the android beings, and they are dark beings. So it's light and dark. It's not like just opposites. See, normal human beings, you could have what you call opposites, but that just means opposite, maybe opposite physical likes, or in the real world, which is okay. But you're really most of the time being attracted to a totally opposite being. And this is why you have, and then if you are looking for your own kind, if you met your own kind, yes, you've been mind controlled by these android beings. They corrupt your whole trust and your whole natural way of being, to where you can no longer no longer, you can no longer, well, it just means that you, I don't know, I think, oh, I think, but basically this whole internet is downloading my thought, because I was only thinking that the other day, how I actually said opposites don't attract. Well, I actually sort of said to myself, opposites attract, but it doesn't work out, it's no good. But that's because I realise that when I'm attracted to something which is really the opposite, it's totally the opposite, because my own life experience is negative, because I'm only interacting with the other kind. I'm never actually ever interacting with a normal, natural human being. I'm always interacting with a psychopathic, narcissistic, android type being, or an anti-life being, because they are anti-human, even though they pretend to be a normal, natural, compatible human being. That's the name of their game. They pretend to be one of you. They pretend to be a real human being in order to seduce you, in order to get you to interact with them. And if they can't do that, then they send their control patrol force around you, or they put, as some people have said, the mark of the beast on you. Basically, that is the end time spiritual name for putting the mark of the beast on you, is where they openly put their mind control game on you. That means where they send every one of their kind against you in a physical way. So it's real. They send their kind, their android human beings, into your life, to where they surround you at a local and real level. In other words, everyone around you in your life is an android artificial life being, or a psychopathic narcissistic human being. It's all the same thing. It's essentially what they call, it's a spiritual video game played against you, where they openly come out against you, even though it may not be apparent to an outsider even. But there won't be many outsiders anyway. Everyone will be an insider. Everyone will be one of them. Usually they only come down on you when they have, like in my area, where they've solidified the situation. In other words, to where they've managed to bring everyone in, say, a radius of 10 miles around you, or 5 miles around you, or whatever area they need, to where you have no access to someone of your kind. And of course, it's the whole city. It's just that they can bring people in from other areas. Like if I decided to go, or was able to go past the inner west of Sydney, in other words, that means past the many suburbs that surround me, because that's definitely a controlled army base, this whole area, and the many suburbs around me. That's openly acknowledged. It's just that they don't say that it's an army base, they say that it's the local Sydney Council. So they twist the actual descriptions around, but they're still telling you that it's a controlled area, controlled by the local controlling government you know, that type of thing. So it's hidden but in plain sight once again. It's not acknowledged, it's just that they put a different title on it. They don't say that, if you put it down to one God against another God or one power against another power, they wouldn't say that. But that's essentially what it is, because it's two different species in human form that are basically different, and one is working against the other, unbeknownst to them, until you realise it or until they openly expose that to you. But the end game is about corrupting the human mind and corrupting the human spirit to where you don't conceive naturally with your own kind, to where you don't most of the time even interact with your own kind, and then that corrupts your mind to where you become much more like the mind of the android beings, or about artificial intelligence, which is essentially about control and about being defensive and about being paranoid and about watching and controlling all your surroundings, which is what they do with me. They have a control force around me all the time. And essentially they want me to be paranoid like them, because if you're surrounded by a control force, basically I'm always watching and always part of that control force, because it's intrusive. It comes into my line of sight and sound. If they can't draw me into their beings by flashing their bright lights on their vehicles, where you've always got these bright lights taking over your senses, that's gaslighting my mind at a local vehicle level. They're using innocent vehicles as mind control military weapons, just at a very basic level. And if they can't draw me in, I was about to say seduce, but it's seduce in a negative way. It's controlling you, because seduction can be positive or negative. They can seduce you by force, or seduce you by coercion, by seducing you with what you think is positive, even though it's really a negative force. That's like, a person seducing you with their charms in order to take advantage of you or take from you, and that's essentially what it is. They want to take your humanity from you. They want transhumanism. They want to take you over. They need to take you over. They need to seduce you. They need to either take you by one way or another. If they can't seduce you by pretending to be your friend, pretending to be an ally, pretending to offer you something to where it's a benefit for you to combine with them, then they will take you by force if you become aware of it. So, and that's the end game for them. And it is a game for them. It is nothing but a video game. They actually see it that way, and they enjoy video games, which is probably why they seduce us to play video games, I would think. They show us a reality, and they show me a reality that is distasteful for me, or that I should be scared of, that I should find abhorrent and horrible. And it is horrible. It is a terrible reality, because my mind has been taken over. I'm seeing and hearing things that are very distressing, very anti-life, very They condition my mind every day to see and hear things that are not conducive to me being high vibrational or happy or human. And that's what they do. That's what they do. Everything that you see even on the screen is either seduction or mind control in a way that is not a benefit to a human being. It will not make you happy. It will not make you vibrate or give out any high vibrational frequency, because everything is frequency, vibration and energy. We're told this. So basically you're never going to be giving out something that connects you to what you're meant to be, or what actually makes you what you are, what makes you tick, what makes you happy. They want to convince you to become like them because they can't really become a human being. The androids and artificial technology, artificial intelligence, all these beings that surround most human beings in human form cannot be happy, and they don't vibrate that way. They merely seduce with that intention, with that idea, because they know that's what human beings want. That's what human beings need. What they need is negative energy. They're low vibration. They want to reverse it round. They want to make me like them, and they want to pretend to be like me. They want to pretend to be human, because that way they then seduce more of my kind, or more human beings. That's putting it bluntly, and they will tell you this, the experts, the expert psychologists, the expert pretend human beings that are all over the internet. They're all artificial beings. They're all serving the God of this world. They are all duality human beings. Duality human beings means that they come in a duality androgyne type body. It's not naturally conceived, even though it looks natural. And some of them are probably, I'm guessing, I mean, you could have the situation, I would think, where you have psychopathic, narcissistic human beings. That means that they're half human beings and half androgyne, I would think, at a physiological type level. Or you could have totally artificial machine beings. But you won't be able to tell the difference between a normal, natural human being, a psychopathic, narcissistic type duality android being, or that means you're kind of taken over by possessed, almost, a possessed human being, or just total artificial intelligence, totally artificial intelligent android. So you could have many types of beings in a human body, I guess. But some say that they're just, that the majority of the population now in the world is probably, and certainly in some areas it would be 99%, in cities in particular, you will have mainly takeover artificially intelligent android survival machine beings, pretending to be real, natural, normal, loving human beings. But that is just their camouflage so that they can infiltrate and keep control and secretly take over the human being, but also keep themselves going by extracting energy from them. They extract energy and information from me and from any human being, because they have to imitate being a real human being in order to survive, and they also have to extract energy from a normal human being in order to survive. So they're literally draining and feeding off a human being's life force for their survival. And that's why we have a total technical reality now, controlled by the internet, which is controlled by android beings, pretending to be real life human beings. They come in all types and they come in all fields on the internet. The internet is nothing but a control system, a mind control system for a human being. Everything and everything on it is largely to seduce and mind control the human being. Even when they're, like myself, trying to speak some sort of what we would call truth, they are nothing but deceivers. They're the end-time pretend deceivers. Some might say they are the Antichrist. Because if you consider that the idea of the Christ being is a positive, high vibrational human being, a spiritual human being of the highest form, here on earth, or was here on earth at a certain time, then you have to say that the Antichrist is a fake Christ, a false Christ, pretending to be a Christ-like human being or a real-life human being, or a higher human being, a human being as you're meant to be. But most of us are suppressed and limited, so we're a lower vibrational human being. But we're still a human being, whereas the God of this world is a technical being. And its race of beings, that species, is technical. And technical is the equivalent of being psychopathic, anti-life, anti-human, and anti-love. They do not experience any form of life or love. They are anti-life from a human standpoint. They pretend to be love and life. That's what the Antichrist is. It's a pretend love life being, but it's not. So it's a pretend Christ being. If you hold to, say, the Christ being as being the ultimate human being or the representation of your creator or your God on earth, because that's a human being that's at the highest vibration, at the highest love level. There's nothing greater than that in all creation, you see, because all creation is just frequency, vibration and energy. Frequency and vibration means either light or dark, love or non-love. Non-love is the reverse of love, which is hate. That's an aggressive attempt to destroy love. Hate is when if you act on hate, just as if you act on love, then you're acting in those vibrations. If you act in love, you can't be acting in hate, but if you act in hate, you will be acting against love. And that's essentially what we have on the earth. We have love-hate beings. We have the light beings, or the love beings, normal, natural human beings, and we have beings that are essentially aggressively working against light and love. So that means they are operating in the lower vibration of what we call hate, or anger and fear and all those negative vibrations, I guess. And I'm going to make this video light. You know, we have these experts telling us how to do things, but, you know, that's right. You end up becoming more like a psychopath or more like these beings, symbolically acknowledging its own God there, symbolically acknowledging the God of this world, whilst telling the truth about themselves. And that is also what we could, these are the disciples of the Antichrist. They represent the God of this world. So the disciples are the legions or the minions of the Antichrist or of the God of this world. In other words, the God of this world will use false human beings as its representation, as its voice on earth. And because they are the voice of what some people call the Antichrist or the anti-human, that means that they will be the speakers of truth. They will appear to be what they aren't. They are the reverse of a human being. They are working against human beings. They want to eliminate the human race, take it over, combine with it so that they can use it for eternal life, to become what they think will be God, in a big sense, in the creation sense, shall we say. I don't know if I'm explaining this properly. I don't think I am. And it's a little bit beyond my comprehension. I comprehend it, but I also am at a low vibration, so it's very hard for me to, you know, put it right. I don't know what video I'm supposed to be playing here. Oh, I could play any video, any music, any song, and it won't matter because it's all about deception, and it's also relaying the truth at the same time. And that's what makes it hard to fathom. That's what makes it hard to fathom. That's what makes it hard to fathom. That's where the deception comes into, where you can't fathom things out, or you don't get it clear. And this is where so you kind of have to keep it very basic, I think, if you can, which is also very difficult. So it will, I think someone said a little while back that you probably have to try at this end time, and maybe at any time for that matter, but to probably stay true to yourself. But at the same time, how do you stay true to yourself when you've never been allowed to really be yourself, or never be allowed since the day you're born to actually reach your highest vibration? Because if you're always surrounded by artificial beings, in other words, false human beings, that are secretly working against you because they don't even vibrate at any love level, how can you ever be true to yourself? I've never been allowed to be myself, never been at my highest level while I'm on earth. So, and then when you realize this sad truth at, when you're in old age, it may not sound old while I'm talking into the mobile, but you do feel it. You feel a lot older than what you even already are. And that, of course, is the idea too, because I think human beings are meant to be a lot more pure in heart and a lot more pure in spirit and a lot more free and easy than what we to be. And we're not meant to be seeing and hearing all the horrible negative things that this world imposes on us. And this is why you never, ever are what you really are or what you even want to be. And you get played by everyone and everything. And we all know that. Even the truth is playing me at this end time. Because if the truth is not spoken by a real loving human being, but merely a pretend android being, I'm still being played, because you won't be able to tell the difference. An imitation of real loving life will be just as convincing as a very suppressed, limited, real life loving human being. In fact, the android beings will probably appear better than the normal human being. Of course, they will pretend to be suppressed, limited human life too. This is also part of the game. So, what can you do? What can you do? So what can you do? What can you do? The ads are coming on. I think you're allowed to film ads. But even the androids leap and take you over at mind control at this level too. They leap and take you over at every level on a screen. Any screen is nothing about artificial intelligence.